What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to High School Never Ends, a pop punk dad podcast. I am Wingman Steve.
And this is Chris 183. And welcome back, everybody, to the show. High School Never Ends. You know it, you love it. And today we are back again in the month of June, Steve, to talk once again about what you picked. That's right. We are back for another episode of You Pick 'em June. And today, what did they pick, Steve?
This is the last of You Pick 'em June. So there's been a gauntlet thrown out before we got here. We had multiple rounds of voting. We asked you guys out there on social media, tell us albums that we should talk about. And we got like 30 or 40 or something like that. We put them all up against each other, and we had a couple of rounds. The winners went up against each other. We ended up here, and we're talking about a band called Name Taken, because their name was taken.
It was, and this is... we're going to talk about the album Hold On, and this is one, look, so I'm familiar with the band Name Taken, not very much so, but definitely have heard of them and heard some songs back in that time frame. I could not say that I've been super familiar with this album, but again, everybody out there in High School Never Ends land, I love this. I love these exercises because I get to listen to something, I guess, fairly new and get to have a new experience. So we'll talk about that, but we got something else out there, Steve.
It's a new experience for us, at an album that's been around since 2004, but we also have a new experience. We are going to talk about this album with the band. We have Blake and Ryan from Name Taken. We're all across the country here. We're East Coast, Central Coast, West Coast. Blake, Ryan, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
What a pleasure.
Yeah, this is fun. Usually, like I said, me and Chris just kind of riff and talk about an album. But to have you guys, we're talking about an album from a long time ago. It really feels like it hurts that this is more than 20 years ago, because that means I'm old. I'm not going to say you guys are old, but that was like, my heyday, my college years of music and shows. And it's really cool. Blake, you had said that you guys don't talk about Name Taken all that much. Is that true?
Yeah, I did a podcast about Name Taken with a friend like 2 years ago. And I'd say that for me, I don't know about Ryan, but for me, that's the only time I've talked about Name Taken at length in 10 to 20 years.
Wow. We are going to
Ryan maybe the same.
Open.
Yeah.
You were our official spokesman.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been a while. In fact, it's the kind of thing now that it never comes up in conversation until it randomly does. And people are just like, what? And they don't even know where to go with it. So it's like, great, let's just move on.
Well, we're not going to move on. We are going to fester this conversation. We're going to milk it for everything it's worth. I just want you guys to understand how we got here, right? So again, I mentioned You Pick 'em June is where our listeners pick what we're talking about, right? So in the first round, I just want you to understand that whether or not you talk about Name Taken, people are talking about you because you got nominated to be part of this You Pick 'em June. In the first round, you guys went up against Good Charlotte's new album called Hotel du Cap, Sugar Cult's Lights Out, and New Found Glory's most recent album, Listen Up. Name Taken came away with 37% of the vote to beat out Sugar Cult Lights Out. Then in the finals, the matchup was Name Taken, Hold On, versus, again, Sugar Cult, Start Static, different album, All American Rejects, Move Along, and Winona Fighter, My Apologies to the Chef. In that matchup, again, you guys won over Sugar Cult, All American Rejects, and Winona Fighter. So that's how does it feel that you guys just fucked up All American Rejects, two Sugar Cult's album, New Found Glory, and Good Charlotte?
I would say that all of those bands won in the long run, and we won this little sprint at the end here.
Congratulations,
100%.
Drink it in.
Yeah, we do have connections to a couple of those bands, not all of them, but
anything fun, good stories you want to tell?
I'm not sure how.
Small world.
Yeah, just a small. I mean, just looking back, like getting ready for the podcast, it became clear like how small that world actually was. To then see the bands, some of whom you just mentioned, like went on to be world famous, right? And they're having kind of a renaissance again. And to think that back then it was, we never quite made it in that regard, but like you're in those inner circles. it all felt very small and intimate and personal back then. So kind of crazy to hear some of those names come back up.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank
Obviously,
you.
so bigger circles than maybe you think. I mean, people out there are voting for you, especially on this show. And I think for those that don't know Name Taken, I guess I would ask, like, what do you guys? So just thinking about the band itself, maybe for somebody that's never listened to you guys before, like, what should they expect? What's the sound, in your opinion, of the band, and how did that sound evolve into what the band ultimately was or is?
I'll let Ryan take that one.
So I re-listened to the album. I told Blake I was going to do this today. I have not listened to it front to back in at least 5 years, if not more. And I heard like 11 different bands across 11 different songs. I think because we wore like our influences and our heart on our sleeve, and every song, if you put us back there, we could probably say like, oh, this was the band we were trying to emulate, like on this song.
We're going to do that.
Okay. So we'll have that opportunity. But no, I mean, we were kind of a generic run of the mill kind of emo band, at least for this record. We started out a little more pop punk, some more quick beats, and those were all kind of jettisoned by the time we made the record.
And
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get there, but some of the members of the band were like 14,
wow.
maybe 15 when we started the band.
Yeah.
So people hearing this record were definitely hearing us go through the early stages of adulthood.
Were you guys into
Trying
emo?
to anyway.
Were you guys into emo music back then? Was that your thing, or did you just like a bunch of different stuff?
I think Ryan, I mean, obviously you speak for yourself, was definitely listening to a lot more different stuff. And I came from a super grunge and punk background, but then was starting to get into emo and stuff like that. I never got into like screamo, but like Jimmy World Clarity, me and Ryan still talk about, is something that I love that definitely kind of shaped those years. But I don't know, Ryan, you were definitely the guy like, oh, I listened to like Boston and stuff like that. So I don't know.
It was the kind of thing where like by the time we were making the record, we were trying to branch out. So it was, like Neil Young and Joni Mitchell and the Beatles and Radiohead and all those bands that everyone from the scene eventually says is like an influence of theirs. But when we were writing the record, that probably wasn't the case. I think what I remember the most is very much growing up on like Fat and Epitaph bands, like straight skate punk. We're from Southern California. Like those bands were all very local in a lot of ways. And then by the time we were writing the record, there were bands kind of from across the country that were starting to like come into, our orbit, or we were starting to pay attention to them, learning about them. And I think that was at the time that the transition was happening, where like Fat Records and Epitaph were a little less popular, and like Vagrant Records was becoming like the big kind of scene label. And so we were just kind of following that as far as like the music we were actually playing. But yeah, behind the scenes, I don't know, we were finding other stuff that never quite made it into our music. But like certainly in the van, we were trying different things, trying to be cooler than we were.
Was the intent, you had mentioned, you think that there's 11 different sounds, 11 different bands, 11 different songs. Was it the intention to do a lot of different things, or is that just kind of what naturally grew when you guys were putting this together?
I think intentionality as a whole was not a theme of Name Taken, but maybe when we were
It's a nice way to put
writing, yeah, but when we were writing an actual song, it was definitely like we said, when we go through each track, we'll be like, well, yeah, when we made this song, we were 16 and we were listening to this band, and then you're hearing that in this band. The songs that we made right as it was time to make the record, and we were writing the songs as we made the record, there was definitely a different subset of bands we were listening to, because again, age 14 to 19-ish is like basically like age 0 to 30 now, because so much happens in those years. So I think that's why we could say like, maybe the record sounds like one big record to everyone else, but to us, we're like, oh, I know what I was doing here. I know what I was listening to here, because this was at 14, this was at 19, totally different universes for all of us.
That's going to make easy questions when we go song by song, because we can just ask you what were you thinking for every single one of them, and you're gonna fill up this podcast here.
And we're gonna do that for sure.
Yeah.
One more question, and then I'll hand it over to you, Steve. I always ask this question, and maybe it's a little cliche, but I am fascinated by this. And when you guys are 16 years old, I mean, what's that? 11th grade, 10th grade? I don't even know anymore. It's well, I have a 14-year-old, so I should know. But in any case, do you guys just decide one day, hey, we all like to play different instruments, let's just start a band? Or I always just kind of want to know that story, how things kind of got together at the start.
Right? You and me.
I was like a total jock growing. I say jock. I mean, sports was my thing. I grew up in like a sports family. And then for my 10th birthday, I didn't even ask for it. Randomly, my parents just thought, oh, we'll get him a guitar, I guess. It was like a little Squire starter kit. And I think to their surprise, I was instantly obsessed with it. And there were certain bands I was listening to at the time that really made me want to play guitar. And so by the time high school came around, I was still playing soccer in high school, but very quickly the band was everything. And it's kind of crazy to think back at 15, you've got school. A lot of us had part-time jobs. It's crazy to think we had 18-hour days, but you had all the energy in the world, and somehow it all revolved around music. And so I think one of the themes for us anyway, Blake's kind of already alluded to it, is at 16, every weekend we were playing shows, whether it was Orange County or driving up to the Bay Area, Vegas, Phoenix. And we were often the youngest band. And back then it's weird because, you're 16 and someone's 18 and they seem they're 10 years older than you, but actually the gap is so small. And so that's one of the biggest things I remember is some of the bands around us, they seemed larger than life. They had 2 records out, and yet they were 3 years older than us. Mm-hmm. And so that's all it was. It was there was all the time to do normal high school stuff, but any free moment we were practicing or playing shows. It was just what we did. I never second guessed it. It just was the only thing I wanted to do, at least for those 5 or 6 years.
I'd say for me, I got a guitar when I was 12, and I immediately didn't want to just play guitar. I immediately just wanted to play in bands. So I was from age 12, just I got to find people to play with. So in middle school, I was playing with some friends. And then in 8th grade, I met Chad, who's the singer in Name Taken. We started playing together. And then freshman year of high school, we started Name Taken, because it's just got to start bands. Because to this day, I think playing guitar is fun and all, but I like making songs or making a whole thing instead of just playing guitar seems way more fun to me. And it's probably because I'm not very good at guitar, so it's more fun to cover it up with other stuff.
Yeah, you won't see us soloing on TikTok. That's not quite our specialty.
Listen, you never know. And listening to this record, there is some intricate guitar work that I was very impressed with. If you guys were that young back in 2004, I got to say, for me, I feel a little ashamed, because in 2004 I was right in the middle of kind of the scene. I was going to a lot of shows. Chris and I both went to Penn State, so we're kind of in the middle of nowhere in State College, Pennsylvania. And I went to a lot of shows and stuff like that. And these last 2 weeks, we've talked about albums that I didn't know back in 2004, and I'm just getting introduced to now. We talked about North Star, their album Pollyanna, which I had seen them. I caught them at a show, but I never really got into them. And I was asking Blake before we hit record, why am I upset? Why didn't I find Name Taken in 2004? Was I not finding the right MySpace thing? Did you guys just not happen to come to my backyard? How come I didn't get to you guys?
No one did. Right, Ryan? I mean,
yeah.
I'd say we have way more fans. I don't know, people that know who we are than we ever did back then. Back then, I can't describe to you how small we were. We may as well have been just a high school band.
Yeah. I don't want to say, I don't want to discredit any of the bands from that time, but when we were touring, it almost felt like a dime a dozen. I mean, that's just how many bands were in the scene touring, either locally, nationally, whatever. And so, I mean, it was, you can't blame anybody for not hearing about even the bands that did do really well. I still, like, my brother, is into this kind of music, and I'll hear about a band now that I realize, like, oh, they put out like 3 records, and I had no idea who it was talking about. I can say we never played State College.
Okay.
We played Philly quite a few times. We played like Lancaster. I'm trying to think of like Central Pennsylvania. We played Pittsburgh, but we never played State College. So we'll let you off the hook for that.
All right.
See, I told you Ryan would know every city we played.
Yeah, that was, it was hard to get out. Again, State College is the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. So they had this one club called the Crowbar, which is not there anymore. But like all the acts in the scene, whatever you consider the scene, they would all come there. Some a little larger, some mid, but everybody would kind of come through there. And I would try and go. The tickets were like $10, $12. So I tried to go as much as I could. Even if I didn't know the whole slate of bands, and I was just curious if I had ever missed you guys, because I checked my nerd spreadsheet if I had ever caught you, and you didn't pop up there. So happy to be listening to this album now and getting a good taste for it. Chris, anything else you want to ask before we go?
Where did you guys play in Pitt? Do you remember where you guys played in Pittsburgh?
I bet Ryan does.
No, Pittsburgh's actually the one I can't remember the name of the venue.
It had to be Laga.
No, I mean, it didn't have to be. It could have been Metropole. It could have been Mr. Smalls. It could have been...
No, it was Laga. Club Laga.
Yeah, I'm really trying to think. It's Lancaster's the Chameleon. Is that right?
Yes, it's not there anymore, unfortunately.
Okay. And then Philly, we played a couple places. But yeah, Pittsburgh, I think we only got to once because Chad has family there. And I remember that being like, oh, okay. Because we were always looking for a place to stay.
I'll look it up. It's got to be documented somewhere. It's got to be documented.
Yeah.
Ask the AIs, they'll tell you. But
yeah.
All right. Go. So we're here to talk about Hold On, full-length album, again, by Name Taken. And you guys, originally the band was called All That's Left, and there was another band that said, no, that's our name. And so he changed it to just Name Taken. That's genius.
That's great.
Genius is such a kind word. Thank you. I literally had to type in a name because it wouldn't let me put in All That's Left. It was before MySpace. It was an audio thing that everyone would put their music on. Do you remember what it's called, Ryan, or anyone else? Like everyone would share their demos and stuff on it. But oh man. Anyways, someone thinks of it. Yeah. But I had to put something in, so I literally just typed in Name Taken because I was like, we'll fill this in later. And after like a week or two of us trying to think of a name, we literally gave up. And that's how we got Name Taken.
But in retrospect, it seems like it's genius, I will say.
I'll take it.
So
I will say coming up with band names is just the worst. It is just an absolute terrible practice of any kind.
I had a good one for my Guitar Hero band, and it was called Nuclear Pretzel. That's my band. That one's taken. Nobody else copyright or trademark or whatever you do with that. Please, Nuclear Pretzel.
I'm taking it. It's mine now.
Name taken. All right, so Hold On came out April 13th in 2004. It was produced by Bo Burchell of Seosin. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, you guys, were you friends beforehand, or was this? How did that collaboration go down?
He was buddies with our label, I believe. Is that right, Ryan?
I think
he's buddies with Lance.
Yeah,
Lance, right?
they had both. So we had a manager, Lance Brown, who was in Open Hand, which was kind of like a post-hardcore band, and Bo had also played in Open Hand at one point. So they knew each other, and when we were first doing some demos, I believe, did we do the Jawbreaker cover first or the Split? Okay, so we did a Split so we did I think it was actually the Jawbreaker first and then the Split. So there was a Jawbreaker cover album that was released and never listened to by anyone, unfortunately, because there's some cool bands on there. But we got a little bit of money, and we really wanted to record a song that actually ended up on the record called A Year Spent Cold. Like, we first demoed it with that money. And Bo did those 2 songs. And then we did a split EP with Bayside that also was recorded by Bo. This was all in his garage. And then when we finally did the record and we had a little bit more money, we were able to do the drums at a different space that just had, a bigger sound, and then we did a lot of the tracking in the garage. So we recorded quite a bit with Bo, and he was doing the Seosin stuff kind of in the background. So I remember we would hear like early versions of that, which was mind blowing to us at like 17, what they were up to. And we played some early shows with them. So yeah, that was cool. But yeah, we just kind of met him and stuck with him because we got along well and he was good at what he did.
Nice. All right, you guys want to get into it?
One more question on that. So with producers, we've heard, and I know you guys went through it, in what you just said, but with producers, we've heard different things about decisions made about the album, and I have some questions about the album order and different decisions with where songs sit. But did everything kind of go pretty smooth, in the sessions with your producer, or were there some discussions? I'll just keep it at discussions. I won't say arguments. More like discussions over where things should go or directions for songs or that sort of thing.
For me, I would say it probably wouldn't be any more or less than any standard recording session, because we really did get along with Bo great. We just kind of had fun doing it. And at the same time, we were super young and impressionable, and kind of what people told us to do, we did it. There were definitely disagreements, and there's like things we listen back now. I was like, oh, we should do it that way. But it's like, it's not that big of a deal to me. I don't know about you, Ryan.
No, it's definitely not a big deal. I think when we wrote the songs, they kind of sounded a certain way. And when we got to the studio, Bo was actually so good as a producer, I think, relative to a lot of the albums that came out in that world. And a lot of people, I think, tried to kind of emulate his production style over time. It was just so polished that certain things, maybe we wouldn't have had them as polished or kind of not overdubbed, but kind of multiple tracks of guitars. And like, it just was really big in places that maybe we didn't expect. But again, we didn't really know any better. Bo probably did know better. And it was never, like Blake said, it was never a big deal. We were all just kind of making the record that we thought we should make, which includes the producer too, right? Everyone has an idea of what the album should sound like. So that's one thing I think we get a lot of comments on, is that the album sounds really good for what it is. And so the Bo is definitely the thing for that.
Yeah, I think for me, like growing up listening to punk and like early grunge, like things sounding messy, which to this day is things sounding messy, is like my favorite thing about music. I don't know if it's because it feels live or just because I grew up with or what. So I look back at the record, I'm like, oh, I wish it didn't sound so polished. But at the same time, everyone that likes that record likes the way it sounds. And we probably needed to sound a little more polished than we actually sounded. So, the quote unquote fans probably, and Bo, knew better than we did.
Yeah.
I think by 2004, the technology is out there to kind of polish up those records a little bit. So sometimes when, you're putting out a full length and you're really trying to make it, listen, we love Alistair's Dead End and Girlfriends and Blink-182's Cheshire Cat, and they have that raw sound, but when they sound a little more polished, it's a little bit easier to kind of catch on to them. So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we got 11 tracks to get through. We're going to start at the very beginning with Control. Chris, you want to kick this off? Or should I?
Yeah. One thing before we start, though, I wanted to just talk about the album cover. So I really, really thought that was cool. Any insights on how you guys came to that artwork? It's kind of like a girl on a swing set in front of another female form that has a tree growing out of the side of their head. Like, how did you come up with that?
I'll let Ryan talk about that. But before we do, I just want to say that you guys keep saying that the album has 11 tracks, and that's like breaking my brain. I'm like, I thought there's only 10. I thought there's only, no, you guys are right. I thought there was only 10 songs, which shows how much I listen to this music. So thank you guys for
tracks.
We go off the official Spotify and Wikipedia, which is, always official.
I think in my brain, I've cut a couple songs from that record, but it's just hilarious to me that you guys are doing better than I am so far. So, but anyways, I'll let Ryan answer the question.
I'm glad we were right. That would be embarrassing if we were wrong.
For the album cover, I remember. So first of all, the record is on Fiddler Records. Amy Fleischer's kind of brainchild. She's gone on to do so many just huge things in the scene and being just influential and connected and revered. And even then, again, like we were 17, 16 when we met them, and she seemed wise beyond her years. And she was like maybe early 20s when we met, something like that. Anyway, she had a close friend, RJ Shaughnessy. I hope I'm saying his last name right.
Yeah, exactly.
Who was just kind of like a budding photographer in, it was like East LA, Silver Lake, Eagle Rock, like that part of the country. And he did all sorts of stuff for just lots of bands and friends and artists. And we had talked about a couple things for what the album artwork might look like, but kind of like with the record, we were kind of impressionable and not really sure what we wanted. And just kind of gave RJ the reins. And we remember seeing the prints and then them actually laying out and overlaying kind of the gold and stuff on the record. If you have like a physical copy, it actually is quite like bright and luminescent. We were just like, holy crap, this is rad. Like, yes, okay, let's do this.
Yeah, I don't think we had like a theme going for it, but I think it's not before Photoshop, but the fact that he was doing it on actual like prints and like showing us how he was using analog life to make this thing came together. I think we were just like, man, this is like actual art. This is really cool. I think now like AI can make that in 10 seconds, but the fact that he put his talent and his like care into it was really impressive to us. And we were just like, amazing. Like we would have never come up with anything like that.
It is amazing. I definitely, again, wanted to call it out. So, and I guess I was just curious to see if it had anything to do with any of the music, any of the songs, the album title. But that's pretty cool that, it doesn't have to, right? It's its own thing. And so, but yeah, so definitely, obviously like album artwork is a big deal to me personally, because it's something you remember about that album. The music obviously is the biggest part, but I remember that album from the covers. So just wanted to
And
ask.
I remember thinking it was cool because I just thought it looked like art, and I was like, that's really cool. It doesn't just look like like every emo band album. I mean, maybe it does, I don't know, but it just looked like a piece of art to me. I was like, that's really
just
rad.
been you guys like just standing there, right? In black and white.
Yeah. We have plenty of those photos, don't worry. Yeah, but I do know RJ had access to like the lyrics and demos for I won't call it inspiration because his art is more inspiring than ours, but like he did have something to work with, and I think you can see some of like the lyrical themes that Chad has like in some of those images.
Sure. Okay, well, hey, we could dive right in here, and we'll start with the first track, Control. And I think my question is, and we always talk about the first track, me and Steve, and how it sets the tone for the album. So that's nothing new, but I'd love to hear from your perspective. Like, why was this one chosen for the intro track to the album? Was there a specific reason for that?
Well, one thing we again just laid our hands down and said, Jay was one of the owners of the record label, and he said, I am the master sequencer and I will pick the sequence of these songs. And we laid it in front of his feet and he chose it. But I think he chose correctly. Control, from every bit of feedback I've gotten for 20 years, is by far everyone's favorite song. By and large, like it's a pretty wide margin for the most part. Might not be the most popular song because of what we'll get to later, but I think we were just like, yeah, this song hits pretty hard, and we were, I want to say proud of it, but we were like surprised, like we were able to put out such a rocking song. I don't know, what do you think, Ryan?
I mean, it's definitely a driving song as far as the opening guitar riff, and it kicks the album off in a nice way. But I like the question though, Chris, because I mean, Blake's not joking about Jay. We talked about sequencing a lot, and I remember like Stay What You Are from Saves the Day had come out, and we talked about how like the first 5 tracks on that record are just like so seamless within the scene. And so like sequencing was something we all thought about, but yeah, Jay, I think as one of the label owners, was kind of like, this is where I get to really step in and kind of turn a batch of songs into a record. And so I don't think we had any pushback against it, but we also just said, cool, yeah, you probably know better than us, so let's do it. And yeah, that was kind of the unanimous. There was no pushback on that as the opening track for sure.
And so I might be stepping on a question for this song, but Fiddler had put out an EP called Cecine Paul Recover by a band called Recover, and it's just the best EP ever. It's just a fact. And Jay kept saying, I sequenced the best EP ever made. I will be sequencing this album. So cracks us up.
That's awesome.
Well, I'll give some props because after listening to the album multiple times, I think this is a really great way to open the album. It's just a great vibe. It's fast paced. There's great guitar work. It's got like a short poppy chorus. It's got a killer bridge. One of my favorite things about this era in music. And so if I call you guys emo or something like that, is that going to offend anybody? I can say that. Okay.
You can call us whatever you want.
I don't even know if that's what it is, but that's
all of the above.
That's like kind of, that's one of the things that equates my brain equates to it. Is this point in time, bands that just do killer harmonies in choruses and verses and bridges like throughout. Like I love hearing harmonies, and so I feel like this song kind of has all of those things, and that's probably what makes it a good number one track. And I kind of want to talk at some point. Maybe we don't have to crack into it yet because we're still on track one. But I definitely want to talk about kind of the live show and thinking back all those years. Like I'm curious. Again, we'll park it for now, but I'm going to plant this in there. What was the set list like compared to the album and the tracking? And of course, the set list is not just one album. You guys have other music, but I'm sure that back in 2004 and 2005, when you guys were touring on this record, a lot of these songs are probably played. So I will be curious to find out, like, where, I don't know, what was your closer? What was the opener? So if any of these things pop up during the conversation, feel free to throw them out. But that stuff, considering I didn't get to see you live, that stuff is very interesting to me.
Great.
Anything else about Control? Or we want to move on to the second song?
I do want to say something we probably never said in public before, and it's going to crack Ryan up. But yeah, no, it's nothing bad. But only because you brought up harmonies. One of the things that you mentioned is like, was there any push and pull with the producers and stuff like that? And one of the things was Bo and Justin, who was in Say Ocean at the time, when we would leave the studio at night, would just add little extra harmonies into songs. And the next day, like, what do you guys think of that? And we, for the most part, didn't love it. But sometimes they hit really well. And I think in Control, what they kind of stuck in there was actually pretty dang solid. So really funny you brought that up.
That's awesome. You guys are just playing jokes. And so some of that stuff made it in, or are you saying it didn't make it in?
No, it does.
Oh, no, it's in there.
Yeah, I think for the most part, we would say, not for the most part, for a lot of time we'd say no. But in Control specifically, I know a lot of their harmonies made it in there.
Nice.
And it sounded great.
I love that. All right, so number 2 is Hold On for Your Dearest Life. I'll start off here. I thought it was very cool, very chaotic in the verses, really interesting in like the pacing and the time signature, super big chorus. Again, I'm a sucker for things like, these aren't gang vocals, it's more of like a chant, but when it kind of sounds like that shouting thing, I love it. I'm kind of curious. So it doesn't sound like you guys saw yourselves on this like giant trajectory, but I'm sure the label had talked to you about, maybe certain songs are like singles or making pushes on types of radio. And so this one made it onto the Warped Tour compilation 2005. Did you guys see this as kind of the single? Is that why it was put on there?
I honestly didn't know it was on there. So again, you guys are breaking news to us. We're breaking news to you. We're doing great.
I can say for certain this was not thought of as like we didn't really have a lot of thought for singles, but there were some discussions. This was definitely not one of them. Although you guys asked set lists, I think we almost closed every show just about with this song.
Those are conflicting statements, my friend.
I know. I think it's because
when
it's
you
the
don't
most
have
fun
a
for
single,
us.
it doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
I mean, I think, I don't know for Ryan, but for me personally, I think we closed it because it was just a song that, especially the ending, we really loved to rock out on.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as we were rocking out, which I don't know how much that was, but it was something we just loved to go out on a bang. And the ending of the song, we kind of changed up a little bit live too. So it was even heavier. So that's
it's
probably
kind of like dark and slow and eerie towards the end of the song, right? On the record.
Yeah. Yeah.
This was also one where I'm very happy with how it turned out on the record. It's probably my favorite song on the record. Um, Live, it's way weirder as far as guitar pedals and things like that. You know, we talked about who were influences. This song, 100%, at least for my parts, I was obsessed with At the Drive-In, and it's everywhere on this song. And I actually, this will make you laugh, Blake. I can think, so our practice space, Blake lived out like in Southern California, out in like a canyon. People don't realize how like rural Orange County can get. And they had kind of like this shed on the property, and that's where we practiced. And I still remember the day that we were kind of working this song out, and you're in a practice space, so everything's kind of loud. You don't always hear things like exactly as they are. And we kind of all stopped, and Blake was still playing and had like this delay, and we all just looked at him like, that's a riff, like, whoa. Like the funny ways in which we kind of impress ourselves. And so I think that was a moment where like, oh, this is a song, we got to keep working at it. But it was definitely like the post-hardcore influence shows up in this song everywhere.
Yeah, this is a song we made probably definitely later, closer to actually recording the album than when we were younger. The first two songs were songs that we made much later. Like, so when we put the album out, or we recorded the album, we were mostly like 19. And the first two songs we made when we were like 18, 19. So they're a little more in our minds, like mature, but anyone else.
Probably what we were going for in the long run.
And Ryan and I we have a problem. We're obsessed with guitar amps and gear and stuff like that. And when we would get something that we thought was different and cool, like Ryan even built an amp and like bought a little transistor amp, a song like this would be like, I want to see what weird stuff I can do with this amp. So again, this song was probably really different. Like, you find live versions of this on YouTube, it probably sounds pretty gnarly compared to the album version because it's way more spacey and out there.
I'm just concerned about you guys practicing in a shed in Orange County. Like,
hey, I grew up in that shed.
It sounds really, really warm.
Yeah, it got cold. It got cold. There was no insulation. We would definitely echo through the entire canyon and piss off the 40 residents we had.
Well, at least you didn't have to pay for a practice space, you know.
That's right.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Very kind.
I missed that. I missed that shed, the barn.
Well, see, that's so you just said something, Blake, that kind of segues us into the next song. So, is there significance to the title of the next one, A Year Spent Cold, because the shed was very cold?
This song was written in the shed. I can remember that. This song, I believe, also was written when Ryan got a different amp, or I got a different amp, and we were trying something kind of cool with it. Lyrically, I'll try my best to never speak for Chad, but maybe that's how he came up with it. Ryan, do you remember much about how we wrote this one? Because this is kind of an older one that had a bunch of different versions.
Yeah, lyrically, again, I don't want to speak for Chad on any of it. We know, like, thematically, a lot of the things he was working with, but my recollection of this song, compared to the first two, this one we probably wrote at 16. And I remember when we wrote it being like a departure from the things we had written before. One, it was in drop D, which most of our songs at that point weren't. The structure of it was a little different. Like, it has like a false chorus in the beginning. And so I just remember us thinking like, oh, this is cool. We're doing something different than we had done before. And we were really like big fans of the song for a long time. And by the time we got to the record, it felt old. But when I was listening to it in the car today, I had the weirdest like deja vu moment where on our very first tour, we were playing in New Jersey at Starland Ballroom. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And there's two rooms, right?
Starland? I don't think there's two rooms.
But
it got knocked down at Hurricane Sandy and they rebuilt it. I think I was only there afterwards, so I don't know what.
Okay, so it may not have been Starland, but it was a fairly big venue in Jersey. In the main room was Terror, so like hardcore icons, and then in the small room was us on our little like first tour.
I remember this show,
but there were a couple kids from Jersey who came out, and that song, when we got to like the bridge has what is today like kind of like an easy core breakdown. The album version doesn't have the chugs, but the first version did. And I remember them being really bummed. They're like, "Why'd you take like the chugs out of the bridge?" And it was because again, we were like, "Oh, that's not what we want to do anymore." And then I realized today I was like, "Oh, but then like not that we found it easy core by any means, but like that became a whole genre in like the 2010s of like, you know, the poppy, like heavy breakdowns."
Yeah.
And that's how that song started. So again, by the time we got to the record, it was maybe a little less interesting to us. But I do remember when we wrote it, when we were first working it out, we were like very interested in how that was different than what we had done before.
I think
Ryan,
this
the way
song. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, please.
I was just gonna say, I think this song is very different because the first like couple seconds when it comes in, it's to me it sounds like a stadium rock song almost, and then it transitions into this like killer, like this is maybe the most pop punky guitar riff on the record. So maybe that speaks to you guys being 16, or the times. I don't know, but I'm all into the pop punk, so that's all good for me. And this song just like it kind of like never stops. Like there's a lot going on and there's a lot happening and it keeps going throughout. So I thought it was super interesting. And I was going to ask, I think when we spoke to the dudes in Punchline, they had talked about like their first couple albums, they had no idea how to like structure a song. Like if you think about the song Heart Transplant, it makes absolutely no sense from like a musical standpoint. And then of course, Chris Fafalios is on like the Krista Makes podcast where they like break down song. Did you guys have that kind of stuff going through your heads when you're putting these together, or you're just doing what feels right, putting things together?
I think we were doing whatever felt fun in the song. And then when we felt like we started to have a song, we would probably say like, we should probably have a chorus here or something like that. But you'll notice a lot of our songs don't have a final chorus. They just have an outro. And I kind of still do that when I make music. But I think it was like in the back of our heads, like this might need to have something here. But for the most part, we were just kind of serving whatever made us happy in the moment in that song.
And I wouldn't advocate anybody to make an album that's always just like verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, done. You know, that can solidify, like, you know, that is kind of the framework for a lot of the pop punk stuff. But when you mix up and change different things, that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah. And I was going to say this song, the word bridge kept coming up for this song, I think big time was a bridge song for us. If you listen to our stuff before this song, like we put out a little EP when we were like 15 and 16 years old. It was like super pop punky, but like
Stupid Chat EP.
There's the Stupid Chat EP. There's the Silent Game EP, which has this song. What's the song called? What's our big song on that first song, Ryan? With the big singing part.
Safety of Routine.
Yeah, Safety of Routine. That was like our local like high school hit song. They said like to me back then and kind of now they sound like little kid songs. And this was us trying to be like, we're serious now. And so this was maybe the first song that actually made it on the record that has that kind of vibe.
These old EPs are not on the streaming service that I use, so you know, got to talk to management about that and see. You're leaving pennies on the table, guys.
We don't even. I don't even know who to talk to about the early ones. I will say shout out to Punchline. We met them way back when out in front of Chain Reaction because they're from Pennsylvania, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh dudes.
Yeah, we met them way back. I don't think we ever toured with them, but I know we met them very early on, and they were like the nicest dudes on the planet.
Still are.
Well,
yeah, I believe it.
As a matter of fact, when you guys were talking earlier, I was looking something up, and now this is it was in the paper, so this has to be true. On November 24th, the day before Thanksgiving of 2004, at 7:30 p.m. You guys opened for a band called Matchbook Romance with the band Punchline and Thought Deposit.
Okay.
At a venue called Mr. Small's Theater. Does this ring a bell?
Well, we were on tour with Matchbook Romance for a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it absolutely makes sense.
That would make sense.
So that was them. They were there.
Yeah. We had met them before, and then that Matchbook tour, kind of East Coast, was with Matchbook Romance, Midtown, and someone else who I can't recall now.
That's cool.
Anyway,
Hey,
Yeah.
it's the biggest what party night or bar night of the year is the day before Thanksgiving or the night.
And there we were, 19 years old. Like, yeah, I don't know anything about
Yeah.
that.
Right.
Sure, you're touring. You don't know anything about that.
Mm-mm.
We were pretty boring.
We really were. That's why the memory's so good.
Yeah,
Well,
that's right.
what's not boring is this next song, "Panic." I really love this one. I think this one goes in a great direction from the get go. The reason why I like this one is it feels like what the name of the song is, "Panic," because it goes in all kinds of different directions, and it has that start that's kind of here, and then it explodes for a little bit, and then it goes back to a little bit more subdued, but it's not. It's still up tempo. I mean, it just hits different paces. I think that's awesome, right? That's something that keeps you interested the whole time. But thinking about this song, is this another one of those songs that you guys are like, hey, let's try something different and let's go in a bunch of different directions. And also, please understand that I'm not a musician either, and I may not be describing things exactly the way that they potentially were supposed to be created. But just bear with me.
For the record, you're describing things exactly how I describe them. So give
Beautiful,
yourself
beautiful.
whatever
Okay.
grace that affords
Yeah.
you. But this song was another Franken song where it had like 7 different lifetimes where we made it first maybe when we were 16-ish, and then it finally made it on the record as a different song entirely. Like Ryan, am I wrong? But I think Runs Red, a song we did, became this. Like we took stuff from it, which was another song we did before this.
We had a song called Runs Red where the intro to Panic was actually the bridge to
That's
that
what
song.
it was. Yeah.
And that happened with a lot of tracks. It's you write something and you kind of scrap most of it, but you keep the bit that you like and then you
Yeah.
repurpose it. So that was definitely how this song started.
Yeah, and then I think this one we had a really hard time making, like trying to like just nail down what is this song. I remember Rory, Rory Phillips, who is just a rad dude in Austin that knows music really well, helped us do the pre-production on this record for like a week or two before we actually started recording in a warehouse in LA. There's a couple of these songs that he really helped us figure out the sequencing. I think this was one, I could be wrong, but I feel like this was one of them where he was just like, all right, this is the chorus, move this here, get this over here, because we had been struggling for years to try to figure out what it was. And then little did we know it'd become the song why probably 90 to 95% of the people in the world know who we are.
I was
don't know if you guys
curious.
know the story
back in
about
the
this song
day-
at all.
I was curious, and it's funny. My one of my buddies, who's a huge Name Taken fan, he goes, "Don't fucking ask him about Panic at the Disco." And I'm not going to ask. I just wanted to
We'll
ask.
tell you all about it.
This one, if you tell me and I don't ask,
Yeah.
then I didn't piss him off.
Yeah.
So this one, obviously, it gets a lot of love on Spotify, and I was actually I just wanted to know if is that a product of this reference that's in here, or like back in the day? Take me back to the set list. Was this a big song for you guys back then, or was this just kind of another song in the house?
I don't think it was a big song at all, Ryan. What do you?
We would play it live, but it wasn't. It
didn't jump off the page.
I mean, again, none of them did. I think that's the important thing. Again, like there was never, other than our local shows, like, and that's just a different thing. The second we got outside of Southern California, there were zero expectations.
But that's still a good barometer. Like even in your local scene, the people that like really listened and followed you guys, you can kind of tell the ones that maybe they liked more or less.
Yeah, I would say actually this one probably did not have much traction.
Yeah.
My main. Oh, go ahead.
No, please, I cut you off.
My main recollection of this, again, it's like a Frankenstein song, was we had pulled out this like very mid-tempo, mellow bridge and put it at the beginning of the song. And then couldn't figure out what to do for a bridge. And then one day in the practice space, our drummer at the time, Danny, did that big tom roll. And we were just like, whoa, like please keep doing that. And so we simplified everything else to let this huge tom roll be like the build to the bridge. And again, it was like being so young. To anyone else, they listen to it, they're like, it's just a song. Like, what's special about this? Nothing. But like for us, learning instruments on the fly. Because like Blake said, we spent every waking hour playing together rather than like learning technique and scales and, theory in our rooms, which we probably should have spent more time doing. You would just have those moments where like you saw someone else in the band do something that you were impressed by. And that's what I remember most about this song. It like solidified, oh, okay, we've got something, like we've got to make sure the rest of the song works because that part's so cool.
Yeah, I was going to say, and then like Ryan and I's parents were always very supportive of us and kind of applauded us and said, good job, guys. But then, 2 years ago, this song got us on Jeopardy, and they're like, all right, you guys are pretty cool, and we're really proud of you, and you're the best kids ever. So this song changed everything.
Biggest achievement of our lives.
Was it the Jeopardy thing that like a bumped?
Yeah.
Do you guys keep an eye on these? I mean, the numbers don't really mean squat. But.
No. Well, actually, I was just telling Ryan and Chad the other day that Panic, actually, the name Taking the Hold On record has like quadrupled in streams in the last like 6 months. We were on Jeopardy like a year or two ago, so I don't know how that happened, but I don't know. Maybe it finally caught wind. Who knows? This is definitely the song that I think if you ask 95% of the people in the world if they know who we are, this is the song that is the reason.
And Jeopardy very accurately described us as obscure. It was awesome. It was
for those
seriously
listening that don't
the
know
best.
anything about us. Panic at the Disco got their name from this song lyric. I'm assuming there's going to be people that hear this that are like, what are they talking about?
I mean, that's
Very long walk
pretty
there.
huge. I mean, that is very cool. Even if you're called an obscure band by, who is it, Ken Jennings?
Yeah.
Yep.
Take
Do
it.
you guys watch Pop Culture Jeopardy?
I don't watch any Jeopardy. We were actually putting out a repress of Hold On vinyl. And the day it came out, Amy, who owned Fiddler, who's putting out the repress, is like, this is the most random coincidence ever, but you guys are on Jeopardy right now, the day we're putting this out, and it just broke all of our brains.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
we
crazy.
got a plant somewhere, and thank you.
Yeah.
Heads up or anything? They don't tell you guys or nothing.
They were a clue, so I don't think they have to run that by anybody. It's just
I don't know. I've never been on Jeopardy like that. I wouldn't know.
I applied to be on Pop Culture Jeopardy season 1, but
nice.
I failed the entrance exam
Aw.
horribly. It was like teams of 3, and all 3 of us failed. Like, you put us together, we're really good, but you have to take this quiz. You have to answer 50 questions, and you get like 9 seconds per question, and it's not multiple choice; it's fill in. And like, I'm good at like TV shows and movies and music, but like Harry Potter, I don't know. I don't know Lord of the Rings. I don't know Broadway.
You're like, where are the pop punk questions? Come on, guys.
I watched the entire season 2 of Pop Culture Jeopardy, just waiting for like a pop punk category. And maybe me and Chris are going to try for season 3.
We are. You
You
should have
should.
asked me to begin
Amazing.
with. We're
They
doing
switched
this.
it. It used to be 3 people, and they switched it down to 2. So now it's me and you. We got it next time.
Yes,
We'll
sir.
be
If you
rooting
guys
for you.
make us, we'll be there. We'll be
All
watching.
We'll call you out.
Yeah.
All right, moving along. We got number 5 on the record is called "This Was Never." Really great. There's like these rolling harmonies on this one. I found this song to be the term I wrote down was epic. It kind of gives you the vibe. Like if the person who you said, the photographer, was given a song to inspire that art, I feel like this could have been that one, because the song kind of gives the vibe like it's like this piece of art. It's very dramatic in the vocals. It's very dramatic in the music. And I was curious, the vocals on this one. So this is Chad, right?
Mhm.
He has like some sort of different sounds on different songs. Did you guys ever get like compared or contrasted or lumped in with the Early November? Because I feel like on this song, like him and Ace Enders could be swapped out and it would sound exactly the same.
I don't think I remember ever hearing that, but Brian, I don't know.
I mean, we definitely fall into the category. We never reach the heights of Early November, but yeah, I mean, I can see it for sure.
This is
You know,
definitely
we-
one of our more like emo attempts, though, as you kind of described.
Yeah. My recollection of this one was, you commented earlier on a lot of the songs just kind of just going at like full speed. And this was one where we really wanted dynamics and we slowed things down. I don't know if you remember this, Blake, but we had just started working out like that intro, the like bam, bam, bam. And then Coldplay performed on some award show and did The Scientist, which is that big piano thing. We were like, wait, we just did that in a song. And then we were like trying to rework it.
Brian, before you say anything else, it was a combination that we heard The Scientist afterwards, but we were also trying to do Glassjaw. We were trying to do
There you go. Glassjaw and Coldplay, name taken, but nobody wants the part of the Venn diagram where we fall in the middle. I feel like if you took maybe one song from the record that was, if we had really like slowed down and wrote one cohesive record, this might have been the song that we were like trying to sound like.
Okay.
For better or worse, it had more dynamics to it. Sonically, like the chord voicings that we were doing were a little more interesting and intricate. I think Chad in particular always kind of liked the vocals on this song a little more than some of the others. I could be misremembering that, but I feel like, if we had ever slowed down to like think about writing a full record instead of just jamming out a bunch of songs, it probably would have gone in the direction of this song.
Yeah, I think me personally, this song In Control might be the songs that I prefer the most on the album.
We're going to ask you your tops later on. So
I'm going to shut up then.
Keep that in your pocket.
But just
allegedly.
Yeah. I'll leave that as allegedly, but just as a reference for kind of why I like this song too, is it has a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't matter. What I wanted to say is that Chad, like 10 years ago, sent me and Ryan an acoustic version of this. He's recorded on like his iPhone, and hearing that version of it really gave me perspective on like what the song meant to him and how it like really feels and how it felt when we were writing it. So the song definitely is one of like the few songs on the record that like I really definitely look back on with some emotion. The rest is kind of like, oh yeah, I was a kid, but this one kind of gets me.
Yes.
Very cool. Okay, so track 6, we have Cover Up is this next one. And we talked about, songs that just go. This one, once again, is, in my opinion, it's more of an up-tempo, very melodic in a lot of ways, too. It has a melodic feel to it. I also wrote this down. I think it gives you that feel-good feeling with the music, like you said, sonically. I think that's the way that I felt with listening to it. But the thing about it is that I don't necessarily think, and I don't have the lyrics printed out, so I'm going off of what I hear. I'm not sure the lyrics are going down the road of feel good. I feel like it's a little bit in a different direction.
Car is fading into nothing.
Yeah. But it's interesting. There's a lot of songs that do that. A lot of bands do it. A lot of songs we've talked about on this show that sound upbeat and fun. Like you want to have the top down in your car and the wind in your hair, but they're talking about stuff that isn't necessarily appropriate for those moments. But no, I like this. I like the dynamic there. And I think that's what really stuck out to me on this track.
As you say that, one of the coolest things that would happen on tour is just one kind thing from another musician. And we'd get like, it wouldn't happen a lot, but every now and then we get like a little nice thing said by someone. I was like, oh, that really makes you want to like keep doing this. And I remember, Brian, I don't even know if you know this, but I remember Ben is the singer from Armor from Sleep. Is Armor for Sleep? Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. We were on tour with them in Fall Out Boy. And I remember someone said, oh, I like this song, like a fan or something. I was like, oh, cool, thanks. And Ben like kind of like just pulled me aside. I was like, that song Cover Up is really engrossing. And like he's just said it in such a nice way that it really stuck with me. And now every time I hear that song, like this is kind of engrossing. Like, and kind of like you just said, like it sounds like a poppy anthem, but then there's something else going on there with what Chad is saying and how he's sounding. That just made me think back to that. And this song was, again, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, not a Franken song. We kind of knew pretty quickly what we were doing with this one.
I think actually this one, not so much a Franken song, but the bridge came from an outro for a song that like never had a name. We did demos for it. I could like mouth it out for you later.
Oh yeah,
I'm not going to do it here.
Yeah.
But we liked the kind of like reverse guitar and stuff that was happening there. I will say this was one of the songs that was like, oh, if we're going to have a single, maybe this is it. Because it is quite poppy. It has a pretty traditional song structure. But again, like you guys said, I don't know exactly where like Chad pulled, the lyrical content from, but at the time that we were making the record, my ex-girlfriend had a friend that ideated and then eventually did pass away. We dedicated the record to Blake's dad, who passed away. So like for the like cheery Southern California, upbringing that we had, there were some things happening in our lives affecting some of us more than others. And lyrically, this is one that definitely kind of stands apart as more mature, more introspective. And so I don't know, maybe that's why the poppiness made sense for it. I'm not going to speak for Chad. But yeah, I do think that's anyone who listens to it closely, it at least makes you think a little bit more. So it's kind of, you guys just said, I didn't know that about Ben. So that's cool.
You can tell it's just very emotional in the lyrical delivery, and might be, again, might not be the most positive of things that are being said, but I think it's one of my favorite choruses on the record for sure. Go ahead, Blake.
Oh, thank you. Well, I was going to say, we made a video for Control, and this is the only music video we ever made. And I remember with the record label, it was either we do Cover Up or Control as a music video. I think part of the reason we landed on Control is because it was a little more palatable, I guess you could say.
Yeah, the subject matter can easily become a little corny or overwrought, and so yeah.
But in a different world, I can see that this,
as it is.
In an alternate universe, I could see that this is a song that could potentially, like break through and become a very big song for you guys.
No, thank you. And this is one of the songs that I do like quite a bit, so appreciate it.
All right, so who speaks Spanish, and why do they think that things sound prettier in Spanish? I hablo poquito de español, but it's not the prettiest of languages. Mi español es muy mal.
Ryan, though. Ryan.
Muy bueno.
Fully fluent Ryan Edwards, no joke.
I do, although I didn't speak Spanish at this when we were writing the record. That came later in life. No, so that line is a quote from the movie Bottle Rocket, which is Wes Anderson's first film.
Holy shit, I did not pull that, but I have seen that movie.
And
so before Ryan says this, because Ryan did come up with the song title, is I specifically remember we were like, guys, we got to get more creative with our song titles. We can't keep calling things like the stupid Chad EP. And then Ryan's like, I got an idea. And I'll let Ryan take it from there.
I'm trying to think of why specifically for this song, because we had to have had a working title.
Yeah.
That was, and again, the working titles were either something stupid like, the stupid Chad, or we would just call it like the Hot Water song because it sounded like a hot water music riff. Like that was, and that we know that's not unique to us, but at some point you need to scrap that. And somehow that line from Bottle Rocket would just worked. We had another song that's not on this record called Magnolia, and that was just straight from the PTA film Magnolia. Because again, you're 17 and you watch movies, and you're like, I know things. I'm a deep thinker, and so you pull from all these, movies. But to Blake's point, I do think it was the time of like Brand New and Taking Back Sunday and Fall Out Boy was probably like these bands that all of a sudden the song names were.
Tell that Mick he just made my list of things to do today.
Yeah. Which is Rushmore, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, it was like just kind of also, uncreatively the thing to do, but it was fun, So again,
and musically, sorry.
No, that's it.
I was saying musically, you already touched on it, but we were trying to make a hot water music song and a recover song, and that's kind of what this song created. This song, and then I remember we posted an unmastered, unfinished version of this on like absolutepunk.net to like tease the album, and I remember someone commenting on it immediately like, oh great, Name Taken gets signed and now they're just trying to be a cover band. And I was like, oh no, they sussed us out real quick. It could have been one of our friends for all I know, but oh man, they got us dead to rights.
Yeah, little on the nose.
Yep.
Chris, anything
That's
else
all,
on this one?
No, I think we hit it all. I think, just my opinion on this track is I love the direction on it, and it just goes back to that the bigger, larger sound that I think, definitely bodes well. So I was a fan of this one for sure.
This one, Chris, now that you say that, I think about, this was a song where it wasn't like an argument in the studio, but there was like a minute-long outro that got cut from this song.
Mhm.
And then one that we'll get to, I guess, in a minute, where again we were trying to be, I think, a little heavier, sound maybe a little more mature, and we had this like big outro that I think worked for the song, but probably felt really out of place within the album, and that's why it was probably Bo that scrapped it. But yeah, he saw the bigger picture, and we're like, but wait, we love this. What? It's a part. Come on, let us have our part.
See, but now like I want to hear that outro.
I don't even remember what it sounded like now.
Grab your guitars now.
That's my thing. I love that.
Like,
I love that. Yeah.
We got one in the corner way back there.
There it is.
That's within grabbing distance.
Yeah.
Very cool. So next up we have We Give Up Sometimes, and another interesting song title. Hopefully, we don't give up sometimes. Maybe you do, I don't know, but
sometimes.
Listen, at this part of the album, a lot of other albums we talk about on this show, there can be sometimes a lull where, a song is, it's okay, it's give or take, or maybe it slows down, or maybe bands try a different thing that some people like, others, can't get into. But I think you guys are still going strong here with another great track. I mean, the sound, the tempo, it's everything I like so far from what I hear in this album. It shows up in this track itself. So, I just think it keeps things going. It keeps things going in the right direction. But what do you guys think about this one?
Blake, what did you knock off this record in your brain when you thought there were only 10 tracks? Which one was it? I'm curious.
Was it this one?
I really just thought there was only 10 songs, but if I was asked to kick off a song, it's the next song, which we can talk about when we get to that, which Ryan knows exactly how I feel about that song. I think we feel the same. Yeah. This one, though, Ryan, I'm not even sure. I think he was. Were you in the band when we wrote the very first version of this song? I think you were.
Yeah.
Because I think, okay. But this
it was study hall.
First, what was that?
It was study hall.
Yeah. But yeah, it was like, this was a song that we took so many versions to get right, because we wrote it first when we were 15, 16 years old, and we worked so hard to like make it into a song that was worth making on the album. And this song and the next song are by far my least favorite songs on the album. But I also know that this song I've met people that have lyrics from this song tattooed on them. This song has a ton of covers of it on YouTube, maybe more so than most other songs. So it's always interesting to see how things resonate so differently with people, because again, not my favorite song. I really like what Chad ended up doing with the vocals. I think he kind of salvaged it for me melodically. But yeah, I'm not sure, Ryan, how do you feel about this one?
Yeah, it's funny because this was actually the other song that comes to mind. We had not like a lawyer proper, but we had kind of someone that we consulted just when we were going through the contracts and stuff, and he was so generous. We had no business speaking with this guy. Jim, shout out.
Hey, Jim.
But he was like the biggest champion of this song. And he said, like, this is your single. Because I think it was a lot more straightforward, a lot more kind of traditional, as just like kind of a rock song, for lack of a better word. And so he always pushed for this to be a single. I don't remember why I liked it initially to like keep working it out. What I do know is that it's one of my favorite moments on the record is actually coming out of the bridge into the final chorus on the song, where it's that minor harmony. It's like, oh, well, that was a good payoff. Like that, like the rest of the song, you can kind of scrap. But I always remember, again, you said Chad saved it there. I still hear that. I'm like, oh, I feel this. I like it. But yeah, otherwise,
I'm
And that's what I
surprised by
say is like,
I just think that this song has a lot. As two guys who are playing guitar, this song has really killer guitar work. And I don't play guitar unless you count Guitar Hero. But what I hear out of this song, I feel like would be fun to play. And that, in my brain, that would make two guitar players like it more. But you guys are kind of talking more about the vocals and the lyrics. So I don't know. Maybe this one isn't a favorite.
I think I vaguely remember what Ryan plays in this song. What I play in this song is the definition, the epitome of boring. It's like two strings barely moving the entire time.
So Ryan's on the lead. He's taking it through the song.
So
and you're
I'm doing
the
like
rhythm.
I'm doing like the doody 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 doody, and I do that for 3.5 minutes or whatever the song is. And by the end of the song, I'm like, I need to stop doing this. And again, it's a riff I wrote when I think I originally wrote that riff when I was like 14, 15. But I do think what paralleled with what Ryan's playing does, like you said, make it a little more interesting. Thank goodness. But if you were to solo what I'm playing that entire time, I think it would be very, very grating for any listener.
Well, you put them together. Put them together, and it sounds
Yeah.
good. We don't need to, measure our whatevers. It's okay.
Yeah.
They sound good together.
Well, and you're saying it too. Like I am still very surprised about how much this song has meant to some people that I've met over the years or that I've just seen online. So some people know better than I do. What do I know?
Yeah, it is. It does seem emotional in nature, but I'm curious as to why. So you want to take "I Quit My Scene" and you want to strike it from the record? Is this what we're saying here?
We could definitely talk about it, but
It's a ballad, kind of.
Right, maybe we played it once live, twice live. Once it was done, like once the album came out, I think maybe we played it once live.
Well, so this is a song that was on the Bayside split.
It
Right.
was.
Yeah,
I don't even
so
remember.
that's part of the problem is that this is a song that we had released before. That version's better. That first version's better because we were still excited about the song. And like I think I mentioned it earlier, I think that the biggest challenge with the record, if you just take a step back, we were often like the youngest band in the room, like racing to put out a record, like just because we were around other people touring, we wanted to be older than we were. And if we were smarter, we would have slowed down to like really write a cohesive record. And instead it was like, well, we have enough songs. Let's.
There it is.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
I'm sharing my screen and just showing the track list from this split EP for the guys.
Yeah, and
There
I
you
think
go.
that version is probably pretty different since I don't even remember it.
I can tell you that version's better. It's just a little bit more kind of raw in what the song originally was. But yeah, by the time we went to write the record, it's like, well, okay, we have these songs. Let's just go in and do it. And if there's like a regret, I think that's the regret. And that's what I was getting at today, like listening to it in the car. I just hear 11 different bands. And thankfully, like Bo's a great producer. Rory was wonderful on vocals, and like they, I think, reined it in. So to the outside listener, it probably sounds a little more coherent than it does to us. But yeah, it would have been nice to spend a little extra time, kind of taking the songs that we felt like, oh, this is maybe just filler and we need to really, write something better or something that is aligned with what we want to go out and play on tour. Because when you have an 11-song record and you know exactly the songs you want to get rid of to play, to play live, that's not a good thing. Like it should be songs are fighting to get in the set list. And that was not the case with us. We knew exactly like these are the songs we're playing live. These are the songs we're leaving at home.
I remember this had an intentional song name too. I Quit My Scene. I can't remember what the exact joke was, but it's something about this song being different and like we're quitting our scene and making this song. But I don't remember. Yeah. I don't remember the exact joke there, but it's something.
It didn't seem to line up with any of the lyrics that I heard. But listen, I'll be the positive guy in the room, and let's just throw a shout out. Danny's on drums. I thought the drums sounded fucking fantastic in this track, so they really stood out, and I think that he did a good job there.
I concur.
Yeah, Danny is a phenomenal drum, like a great drum. We were lucky to have him on the record.
Was there an opportunity for you guys, if you did play this live, when more often could you have played it the way that you liked better, the the way that it was on the split EP versus the way it was here?
For me, that's an easy no. I'm not sure. Maybe Ryan has a different opinion. Ryan knows exactly how I feel about it. So.
Yeah, I mean, we must have played it live a few times, but probably before the record. My biggest memory of this song, again, wearing like just influences on our sleeve, is that intro. We wanted something like Table for Glasses by Jimmy World to open a Clarity, because Chad does that. I don't know what the interval harmony is there, but like it's an odd kind of harmony. And we were trying to do something like that, trying to slow it all down. And we just weren't good at it. It never quite landed. But like that was the influence for sure.
I think you're describing exactly why I don't like the song. And that is that Table for Glasses, to me, to this day, is just such an amazing accomplishment. And the fact that we were trying to do something like that and came out with this instead is a little disappointing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next up we have Drive, Drive, Drive. It's like someone saying, drive, drive, drive. Let's go, let's go. I love that. And now I have my opinions here and some things, but I want to wait. I want you guys, Blake and Ryan, I want you to tell us what do you think about this song? Because I'm really interested, and then I'll give my opinion.
I think the song has the hardest cut of the entire album, and Ryan knows this. Ryan had an awesome intro that he would just play with Danny, that the record label actually cut from the album because they were just like, this doesn't fit with the rest of us, which again, most of the time they're right. This one, I think they were wrong, or whoever made the decision. But I loved the intro that we had going into the song. And actually, when we played it at a reunion show, it's on YouTube. You can hear the intro that we made. And for me, that made the whole song better because it really set it up in my mind. And on the record, I like this song. I don't have any I don't love it. I don't hate it. But it also is a song that when we played it at our reunion show, we completely redid how it vibes and like what the guitar parts are to make it a little more fun and dancey and less like thrice hardcore-ish, which I don't know if that was the right choice, but I like that we were able to riff on this song and kind of do something else with it. But I don't have a super strong feeling either way about it. Right?
Yeah, no, I agree. This song had the intro set it up to hit pretty hard. The intro that won't make sense to anybody as I try to describe it was some pretty chaotic, like tom fills on the drums with like a really kind of like spanky guitar riff that then made the intro really come alive. And then there was an extended bridge that we eventually worked out as well. And it just, again, it was like, that could have been where the band was going to go if we were going to be more of like a post-hardcore band. This was one we worked on a lot too, where when you listen to it, because the drums, the way it was recorded, are so big, the guitars, we ended up doing like a bunch of multi-tracks to make them sound heavier, when the guitars, as Blake was describing when we play them live, are actually a lot more intricate. And I think it makes the song is like, it's not a heavy song, but relative to the record, it's heavier. It actually was like a lot more dynamic and kind of delicate in certain ways. And it was really interesting. And then by the time it made it to the record, it was a little different, but it's still fun. I know a lot of people like this record. The riffs they're fun to play. So it's got its pieces, but this is one that, I feel like could have been where we were going with our sound, and we kind of chose other things, but I would love to get that intro back for sure.
Yeah, I've had someone recently say this is my favorite song on the record, and I showed it to my sons, and my sons love this song. Drive, Drive, Drive is our song. So again, to each other. I can't wait to hear what Chris had to say about it.
Listen, your sons are correct, by the way. They know what you're listening to. I love is the word for this song. And listen, if this was the direction the band was going in, I definitely want to hear more from that. Understand how history went, but wow, like you guys, like this one turned out so great. The sound, and maybe it just goes to personal tastes. I mean, Steve and I have somewhat different tastes in terms of music. We both love pop punk rock and that sort of thing, but I definitely skew a little bit harder, and this is just right up my alley. There's so much to love here. You know, the tempo, the guitar line, like those dramatic pauses. The chorus is spot on to just what clicked with my brain. And so, like, I can't necessarily say anything that I took pause on with this one. It just flowed, and it's one I could listen to over and over again. And my last point here is, do you guys like this as much as I do? So I asked that question first. Like, I wanted to get it, and it's a little mixed, but hey, I can't say enough good things.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chris. I think this one rips. I mean, it feels like it's going 100 miles an hour. The guitars, the vocals, very strong. Killer lead guitar here. It's like, on one hand, I want to say that it doesn't sound like your prototypical, like, track number 10 right before the last song, because it's catchy enough and interesting enough that it could be, you know, one of those first couple tracks. But on the other hand, you know, when it comes after I Quit My Scene and you're kind of setting up the end of the album, which is a little slower, maybe it is the perfect track. So the perfect place for it. So I guess I can kind of go both ways, but I think I agree, Chris, that I really enjoyed this one.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
all right, let's the sequencing there. Yeah, and the sequencing here coming from Jay will lead us directly into talking about the next song.
Yeah, so I mean, Clear and Conscious, so many albums kind of have these around this time period have a strong, slower kind of, you know, closer to it. Is this Jay's opinion why this should close out the record? Is this yours? Go ahead. It seemed like you were going somewhere.
Well, so when they were sequencing the record and when we were making the record, no one liked Clear and Conscious except for me, Ryan, and Chad, I think. Again, Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, but the record label owners didn't like it. Bo didn't really like it. Rory, who did the pre-production, didn't really like it. And it's just a song that meant a lot to me. And so they were kind of like, Jay, when he was sequencing the album, he's like, fine, we'll put it on there, but it's going to be the last song. And the song before it's going to be the heaviest song on the album to kind of contrast and battle that. And Clear and Conscious to this day is a song that like means so much to me. Musically, sure. Like, I really like what we do with the music, but which is what Chad did lyrically and vocally, and just the stories that have come out of this last song. I've met people who were like, oh, I did my college dissertation on this song. I've met a handful of people who have song lyrics tattooed on them from this song. And I think it's definitely a hit or miss song. I absolutely get why people would not dig it. I remember the first version of it, the intro went on a little longer, and Jay and people were just being like, oh my gosh, you guys just get this song over with. I remember it was the first song that Bo mastered, and I sent it to Rory, and Rory's like, this sounds amazing. I can't wait to hear one of the songs I like. So again, I get the divisiveness of it, and I'm sure it maybe divided you guys a little bit, but I'm very happy it's on there because of the personal attachment to it and because of the positivity of the stories that I've heard out of it.
That's great. I guess the question I had, you know, not necessarily directly to this song, but if you would have lost that battle, Blake, and this song did get ruled out, what would you have ended the album with then?
It's a good question. What do you think they would have done there, right? But it's like, was there an original "This Is the Last Song"?
Well, one thing we did not have, and again, this is because we just were like, okay, we've got enough songs, let's go make the record. We didn't have any B-sides. So like the 11 songs that we recorded are the songs on the record. We had a couple other songs and things that we had demoed before, but as far as like the studio session making the record, there were no B-sides. I think there was a world in which the sequencing would have been drive, probably into Spanish if we had that big outro, because that outro was like this big fade out.
That's it.
And we loved fade outs. We were all about it. But what I remember specifically about Clear and Conscious, because I know I brought the guitar stuff first, was
you and me. I was playing drums and you were playing guitar before anyone got to my house.
and I had worked it out on acoustic first because I was listening to, again, a lot of Neil Young playing like drop D guitar, but then also this band that we loved from Petaluma, California, which is like north of San Francisco, called the Velveteen. And they were this kind of indie band. that had like piano, acoustic. They had some more rock and stuff, but they had a couple like slower jams that I loved the chord voicings, and I was messing around with stuff like that. And we knew like, okay, we're not ending with an acoustic song. That's just not us. It doesn't make any sense. And so instead, Blake and I worked it out in the shed there, the barn, with me on electric, and we're like, oh, we can make this work. And talk about like things that didn't quite work. I remember the drums didn't quite end up the way we wanted them to. Not that it would have changed the song, but for us, it was.
I remember when I wrote the drums,
into.
they were definitely like, they were banging harder. They had more flams. It was definitely a little more intense. And by the time I got to the record, it was all kind of mellowed out.
A little muted for sure.
That's because I could only hit the drums hard. I couldn't play the drums gently.
Yeah, but my recollection of it was, I don't think there was ever the intention to play it live. It was a song that we did like, and maybe we had thoughts that when we got into the studio, we'd do more to it. And it actually probably ended up being less in the song. But I know that we would spend surprisingly more time on it when we had downtime. It's because, again, like Blake said, there was just something there that actually we all connected to. And so who cares? We put on the record.
Well, and then we might have played it more than this, but the only time I ever remember playing it was our last song at our first night of our reunion show. And we played with The Hire, and Seth from The Hire is like one of the most incredible vocalists I've ever heard. So the chorus is like impossible to one person. Brian and I can't sing. So Seth from The Hire was able to do the dual vocals live. And I remember playing that live with it sounding how it's supposed to sound. And it was all worth it for that one moment for me. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Speaking of that reunion show, I just had a quick question. So, you know, we've Chris and I have been known to inspire bands to kind of come back and you know, get back together and record music and do shows. We chatted with Homegrown while they were still split up. They came back around. Your Orange County buddies there. I'm just kind of curious. So let's just say hypothetically, you were going to do a show and a reunion show. How long do you guys think that you would need to rehearse for that type of show, based upon the fact that you haven't played these songs in quite some time? Obviously, they're still in the muscle memory. How long would it take you guys to get you put together?
Well, for me, funny you say muscle memory. I don't remember how to play 70% of this album. Like 4 of the songs I have down pretty well. The rest I have no idea. So it would take me a ton of personal time.
Okay.
But with Ryan and Chad, because we played so young together, Ryan and I jammed together for the first time a couple months ago in 15 years. And it was like that, just playing other songs. But yeah, by myself, I'd have to figure out for a long time. With the guys, I feel like we'd be fine after a couple practices. I don't know. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, I think you get in a room and it comes back pretty quick.
Yeah. It's not going to happen, but
sometimes these things manifest themselves.
Yeah, maybe.
They said Tom wouldn't come back to Blink 182. But look
and
at
this
where
is
we are.
just like that. Yeah.
Yeah, same exact thing.
Same stakes. Yeah. Shout out to Homegrown though. Good.
Yeah.
Good call
Some
out.
dudes.
Good dudes. They actually
Big
shouted out our podcast on stage, opening for the Starting Line here in Philadelphia. It was
That's awesome.
It was
That's
kind of a
so
surreal
great.
moment. Yeah, it's on
love
YouTube.
it.
I loved it.
And I'm looking at the poster behind you. Shout out to Over It as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We sold our first trailer to Over It.
Oh yeah! Wow.
Played a bunch of shows with them back in the day.
I had lunch with
crazy.
Peter up in New Jersey, and
Okay.
he's been on the show a
I
couple
remember
of
Peter.
times. He's a fantastic human being. Really, really
Yeah.
nice.
I
He's
remember
got a
playing
great
with
voice
them
too.
in LA a couple times and being like, man, this guy is way too nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get it. That's awesome.
He really is.
Yeah. Shout out.
Very cool. Steve, anything else on Clear and Conscious?
No, I think we're good. We've gotten through this whole record. Thank you guys. I hope it was fun to kind of take this trip down memory lane. You know, maybe you had to do some homework and listen to your own record again. But again, you still have plenty of fans out there. And again, you got voted into through 2 rounds for us to talk about this record. I really enjoyed it, so I'm going to keep listening to it. And maybe I'll manifest some new stuff in the universe. Maybe not. You know, just I don't want to close any doors.
Appreciate that. Thank you guys. Thank you for having us. Again, this is for me, this is only the second time I've really talked about Name Taken at length in many years. Ryan maybe his first. So all the thanks to you guys.
Total pleasure. Thank you guys. And we don't know who voted for us. It's pretty unreal. Especially we know that you guys we never made it to your neck of the woods when we were touring. So all those folks who voted for us, I mean, it's amazing. It's like a genuine pleasure. So
I can pull up the receipts in our story archive.
Well,
if you want
we'll
names,
leave the anonymity out there.
You're gonna write them all thank you cards.
Well, listen. Before we wrap things up and we take this home, we did allude to this earlier, but we do a little thing at the end of the show called Ranking It, and basically, we want your top 3 favorite tracks off of this album. So, Blake, I know you kind of allegedly gave a couple, but let's see if that changed over
Number
the course
one,
of
I
this
quit my
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys could both give your top 3 in order, 3, 2, 1, that'd be great.
Ryan, go for it. Well, I think
I'm gonna if Drive turned out the way we wanted to, it would be on my top 3. And I'm sorry, Chris, that you don't get to hear that version. It's out there somewhere.
He's happy with the one that's there.
It's even cooler than you can imagine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say This Was Never. I don't know that that's 3, but I'm gonna put it in there. I'm gonna say Cover Up, because the lyrics there, I know there's a couple word choices Chad would change. But again, I'm proud that we wrote like a poppy song that I can stomach. And I Hold On is still my favorite. And maybe because every time I hear it, I think about playing live, and maybe not the version that's on the record, even though I like the version on the record, but I have very good fond memories of just closing out shows with that song.
That was 4, but we'll allow it.
All right.
Well, Drive got the boot.
Yeah, Drive was.
That was just for Chris. Okay,
that was just for me. I'll take it. Yeah,
I have to make my notes here for the archives.
I'm going to do Chris's favorite songs list now. Hold on, let me pull this up. I'm just kidding. Mine are going to be pretty similar, and honestly, this could easily change. 3's kind of tough, but I'll do Cover Up 3rd. This Was Never 2nd. Control 1st.
Okay. It's a good list. Listen, and I'll give mine really quick. It's Panic 3, Control 2, and Drive by far 1.
Love it.
It hit me like a ton of bricks when I heard that song. So that's my top 3. And then Steve, you got 3?
Yeah, I do. I think number 3 is going to be Control. Number 2 is Hold On for Your Dearest Dreams, and number 1 is Cover Up, because I'm a poppy kid and I like that one a whole lot. But we had some overlap between the 4 of us. So, but there were multiple tracks that got mentioned. So good album, guys. Thank you so much for walking through this with us. Again, Chris and I are relative new fans, but you got a lot of old fans, and that's why we're talking about this. And it was really cool to get your opinions on these songs and get some background on Name Taken.
Thank you so much, guys. Take care.
Do you want to share your Instagrams or your anythings? The Name Taken one, the handles, the things.
Name Taken is. I honestly don't. This is how bad we are.
I think it's at Name Taken OC.
That's right. Name Taken OC. That's where you'll find us.
Yeah. Anything else, Ryan? You got some bands you're playing with now or anything like that? Anything you want people to check out?
Me and Ryan. Yeah, me and Ryan, me, my brother Ryan, and a couple friends have a band for fun called Looks Bad Sounds Worse, like a hardcore-ish band. And we're going to play a show in October 30th at the Wayfarer in Costa Mesa. It'll be me and Ryan's first time playing together in 20 years, so can't wait.
Exciting.
So if you like the heavier potential that was in Name Taken, this may or may not be up your alley. But it'll be fun. Yeah. Otherwise, no other socials.
Very cool, guys. Well, thanks again. It was a blast, and hopefully everybody out there had a blast listening. Once again, this is You Pick 'em June. We talked about the band Name Taken. We talked with the band Name Taken, and this specifically was for the album Hold On. That was voted on by you guys out there. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Go check us out. We have a ton of episodes. We also have a shop where we have some really cool stuff. Everything from mugs to jean jackets. No, we don't have jean jackets, but maybe eventually. But anyway, go check that out. It can be easily found via our hub, which is www.hsnepod.com. Also, if you have Apple or Spotify, either way, you can go give us a written review. You can let us know what you think about the show. And if you have Apple Podcasts, you can give us a 5-star review if you really enjoy the show. It definitely helps us out. And it makes us, it tells us that you really like us.
Makes us feel good. And you can also interact with us on the social medias. We're at HSNE Pod, like High School Never Ends Pod. We have a Discord channel, which you can find on our website. Totally free. You can join, talk about name taking, talk about your favorite pop punk or anything that you want. We have a Patreon if you want to support the show. Going to give a quick shout out to our patrons. We have Chris P, Punkish Dad's friend, Punk Rock Mom, Jeff, Tom, Ashley, Jason, Sam, Chris W, Nick, Steve Kelly, Steve C, and Dr. Bernie. You can go to patreon.com/HSNE Pod if you want bonus content and support the show. You Pick 'em June is totally over. Ryan, Blake, thank you so much again. We have a new topic we're going to cover next month. I'm not spilling the beans yet. Until then, keep on rocking your dad bods, throw up your rock hands, and blast the pop punk.
It's Dragon Wagon.